Kathy Krajco was of the first survivors who talked about narcissistic abuse under her real name. She died unexpectedly in her home 2008. She was 56 years old. I suspect the narc hive mind was behind her death. In her book, What Makes Narcissists Tick?, Kathy Krajco says, deep inside the narcissist's head, narcissists are from Pluto. Those who must deal with narcissists find it impossible. That's because, to deal with anyone, you must know what to expect from him. For example, if you say good morning to any normal person, you can expect him to say good morning back. But what if he just gives you the stink eye, acting as though he perceives some hostile intent behind your seemingly friendly overture? That throws you into confusion, doesn't it? The victims of narcissists often report such bizarre reactions to things. But note the exact relationship between the stimulus, you're saying good morning, and the response, him giving you the stink eye. You said good morning. He didn't burst out crying. He didn't jump for joy. He didn't say you're welcome. He didn't react in any of 1,000 possible off-the-wall ways. He reacted in the off-the-wall way that is the exact opposite of what was called for. Greeting someone with good morning is an acknowledgement of their presence and an expression of good fault will. It calls for the same in return. But he responded instead with a rude and rather audacious refusal to be civil and give the customary return, hurling at you an expression of the opposite, ill will. Instead, this is a pattern of narcissistic behavior. It is perverted equals exactly backwards. And supercharged to an extreme. What is going on in the narcissist's head to make him or her behave this way? First, to make sure we're all on the same page, let's recount some examples. Hostility toward friendly overtures. Anger at what should please. Increased anger then at what should appease. Inappropriate laughter. Contemptuous callousness toward what evokes warmth and pity. Hatred of what should evoke gratitude. Such perverted reactions are the antithesis of a normal human being's reactions to those things. So, it's like the narcissist is an anti-human being, the negative image of one. Which is why their behavior is so perplexing and counterintuitive. The question is why? The answer is because in a way they are anti-human beings, they are predators equals they are behaving as members of another species toward human beings. They are wolves who view human beings as sheep. Hence, there is never an actual meeting of the minds between normal people and narcissists. For, in a human being's interaction with a narcissist, you have the national human mentality clashing with the alien mentality of a predator on humankind. When you meet Dave, a coworker, in the hall, you say hello on the premise that a show of friendliness and goodwill will elicit the same in return. If Dave were a normal human being it would. But your premise doesn't apply to this interaction, because you are interacting with a predator, not a normal human being. Dave feeds on your kind. Morally, that is. Think of him as a vampire. So, he gives you the stink eye and reacts hostilely to your friendly overture on the premise that a hostile reaction to a friendly overture will shock, disarm, and deeply wound you. See the clash of conflicting premises here? You walk blindly right into that surprise attack. Because Dave is a wolf in sheep's clothing, so you expected a human reaction from the antithesis of a human being equals a predator on human beings. You are like a sheep that walks up to a wolf and says, "Hi. How are you?" and never finishes the sentence before its jugular is cut. And notice also how this perverted reaction perverts the whole event. Your friendly gesture is made out to be the malicious act, not Dave's attack and response. Enter the twilight zone. Every human action is based on a premise. It is a path you take to reach a chosen destination. For example, you drink a glass of water on the premise that drinking water will quench your thirst. You say hello to a coworker on the premise that acknowledging his presence with this expression of goodwill will elicit goodwill from him in return. What if he's a narcissist from another planet? Then he ignores you on the premise that acting like you're beneath his notice makes you dirt. And he makes you dirt on the premise that making you dirt makes him God. So, he is living in another world, his own little wonderland, and your premises don't work in that world. This is why his reactions are often off the wall. Moreover, we are nearly always acting on some premise about the matter at hand. For example, if you are discussing a business proposal with Dave, you will be acting on premises aimed at business success. Narcissists are nearly always acting some narcissistic premise. So, while supposedly discussing that business proposal, Dave is actually just posing in a mirror to improve his image. He would thoughtlessly damage the business to improve his image. So, in your eyes it's about the business proposal, in his eyes it's all about him. Even when he's flattering you, it's on some narcissistic premise. In other words, you are like actors on a stage reading lines from different scripts. The narcissist never tires of this imbecile game. But you will run out of patience with it fast. There are 3 things never to forget while interacting with him. The person inside this adult is a damaged 3-year-old. He views you as an object to exploit for his self-aggrandizement without regard for your feelings and welfare. He is acting on alien premises. With this goes the narcissist's choice of victim. It is so counterintuitive that many people just won't even believe it. As Jesus of Nazareth said, "What criminal hands his child a venomous snake when that child asks for something to eat?" Answer: Dave and his fellow narcissists. 5.9.1 Alien Mentality. The science-fictional characters of aliens from other planets make a good analogy for the narcissist's predatory mentality. They likewise view us as prey. Truth is stranger than fiction, so artists deal with the predatory mentality almost exclusively with characters represented as alien beings. Fiction writers must portray them as intelligent alien species, not human. Otherwise readers wouldn't buy it. In some movies these beings come to eat us. One memorable episode of The Twilight Zone tells of aliens coming to eradicate all human disease and hunger. While they were busy fattening us up and ridding us of disease, their leader absent-mindedly mislaid a book that the CIA grabbed and studied. The president had codebreakers and linguists try to translate it. Finally they got the title translated, How to Serve Man. That put the president's mind at ease about people accepting the invitation to visit the aliens' home planet. As the first group departed Earth, waving goodbye, the translators urgently came to the president's office, saying, "Wait. Stop that rocket ship. It's a cookbook." Not funny, eh? Like clueless domestic livestock, we humans let them rid us of disease, fatten us up, and herd us onto this interplanetary cattle truck, never suspecting what they had in store for us. The president played right into the aliens' hands because he made the error of assuming a human mentality in an alien species, so it never dawned on him that this manual of theirs could be talking about cooking human flesh. Don't we do likewise to the domestic livestock we raise and slaughter? These aliens just viewed us the way we view them, without pietà. Humanity. In other stories, aliens experiment on humans like Hitler's doctors experimented on Jews in the death camps, with nothing but curiosity about the agony they inflict on a specimen. This absence of humanity horrifies us. Yet why should we expect humanity in an alien species? Don't we ourselves experiment on other species? When was the last time you felt sorry for a cockroach writhing in poison agony? We view it as unworth our regard. So, these advanced species of aliens from other planets are no worse than us. Narcissists view us the same way, as some lower life form than themselves, as unworthy of their regard. They must. Otherwise they could not bring themselves to prey on us. And so, their need to aggrandize themselves and their way of doing it, by diminishing somebody else, makes them predatory and prone to acts of shocking inhumanity. The law recognizes this special case of predation. The criminal predator is much worse than those who murder in revenge or anger or fear, as in a robbery. They kill for reasons. He kills just to kill, because he likes to. The difference is as the difference between night and day. It is not natural for people to view human beings as prey. We cannot even imagine it. This is so ingrained in us that, even in disasters where survival depends on eating the flesh of the dead and there is no moral reason not to, a normal person can hardly force himself to. And he bears psychological scars from the experience for the rest of his life. So, what is it with narcissists? What Wordsworth calls that primal human sympathy, which, Having been once must ever be just is not in them. They have no more regard for anybody else's feelings than we have for those of a half-squashed bug. They don't relate to us. They don't view us as being of their kind. This is how a wolf views sheep. The narcissist chooses to not relate to human beings. He chooses to view human beings as prey who exist to supply him with food. He chooses to disdain membership in humanity and chooses to show no humanity toward humanity. His choice. His doing. I suspect that if there ever is a cure for NPD, it will lie in somehow persuading the narcissist to deny his image and identify with the hurt little child in the dungeon within. The real self. A human being. In doing so, he would become human and rejoin the human race. But till that day, if ever it comes, the narcissist is always acting on a different premise than a normal human being would.